Well, you guys are a bunch of crybabies, I tell you that. So yesterday, I published a video with like a semi-clickbaity title. I said Kaspa to 6 cents in mid-September. Man, and I got a lot of hate. And the crazy thing is, I got a lot of hate from both sides of the aisle, from the Kaspa haters and the Kaspa lovers. The Kaspa haters, I think they were able to identify that I am a Kaspa maxi. And they were like, you're delusional, man. Kaspa is never going to break its all-time high again. It's the worst crypto in the top 100, right? And then I have from the Kaspa lovers who for some reason didn't realize what I was talking about, didn't realize I'm a Kaspa maxi. They're like, you don't know what you're talking about, man. Kaspa's never going to go back down in September, man. It's going to keep on flying, man. I'm like, dude, wake up. You guys are worse than XRP holders, man. Listen. I put forth 3 scenarios, one very likely scenario, and 2 other scenarios are like the polar opposites of each other, and they're both kind of extreme, right? The first scenario that I think is the most likely is that Kaspa, the entire crypto market in general, the entire crypto market is probably going to experience a pullback after the FOMC meeting in September 17th, probably as soon as the next day, right? And it could happen for a week, maybe 2 weeks, which is fine. It happens in a bull run. You know, it could happen for a week or 2 or 3 or whatever, right? And, you know, the reason is because the market is already pricing in the rate cuts, right? And with Kaspa could be a little bit more extreme because the market is already pricing in the smart contracts. So we could see a little bit of a pullback in September. I mean, that's what I was saying. The other 2 extremes is, I don't know which is more likely than the other, they're just polar opposites of each other. One, it would be like something happens in the next 4 weeks between now and the FOMC meeting on September 17th, which is like, you know, something goes wrong with the economy, something, you know, the shit hits the fan. It's like right now we have, I guess the situation is more like we have a very weak job market and a strong labor market, if that's the correct way to describe it. So the amount of new jobs coming available to the market is very, very low, but unemployment is low, right? People are employed. They're not losing their jobs. But if something breaks, then it's going to be severe because there's not going to be enough jobs available out in the market to replenish that breakage of the labor market, right? So if the layoffs start happening, it'll be bad. It would be like, and for those of you who have lived through any financial crises before in the past, you know, it happens like really fast, like rapidly. It would be like everything is fine this week. Next week, there are a few cracks starting to form. People are like, oh, what's going on? Right? Then the next week is like, boom. It will be like massive layoffs every single day. Layoff, layoff, layoff. Tens of thousands here, tens of thousands there, and so on. You know, it's and then the next week will be the same. And in this timeline, the next week will be like, then the FOMC meeting happens. And instead of a 25 basis point rate cut, it'll be like 50 or 75 or more. It will be like an emergency rate cut. And that will be the only way that the market will continue to pump, right? Because it would just rally because of those rate cuts. Now, it could go down during the next few weeks because of that breakage, but it'll go up after the FOMC meeting if the rate cuts are more than expected, right? Then the extreme opposite of that, which is where I put in, you know, where I got my title from, is like, I had been noticing, like today was a different story because we got the CPI reading, right? I had been noticing since last week, the probability on the Fed rate monitor was that the probability of a rate cut on September 17th was like 92%, then 90%, and then 88, and I'm noticing going down 86, and then like 84. And I'm like, the odds of a rate cut, it keeps on decreasing. So then if the rate cut does not happen on September 17th, then we can get a really, really strong pullback, right? Because nobody's going to want that to happen. And that's where you get into like a hard crash for, I don't know, a few days, a week or whatever. Things go down. And then you get your 7 cent Kaspa or your 6 cent Kaspa and things like that. Now, like I said, scenario number 1 is probably the most likely. The other, you know, in scenario 2 and 3, they're extremes. They're the opposite of each other. And can they happen? Yeah, sure they can. I mean, they probably won't. But I'm just saying, I mean, I put in I put in that title of the video, and some of you guys, man, I mean, you're like whining like children, man. I don't know, but we got this. We had a really awesome CPI reading today. We had we had what was expected. I saw some news like on Yahoo Finance spinning as bad because core CPI went up, but it was exactly on target with what was expected. So both core CPI and CPI, that both readings were exactly on target with what was expected, and it's relatively low. We're talking about like 0.3%. So, and then because of that, even though some of the news sites were trying to spin it as something negative, because of that, the market interprets it as something, positive. So the reading wasn't bad, and now we're at like, was it 93%? 93%, right? Rate cut chance in September. So it went up. So we're doing pretty good. So when it comes to my three scenarios, it looks like scenario number one is still on target. For those of you guys who just want to whine and crap, I mean, you want to come into my channel and you want to start talking all that smack, man. I'm going to have to punch you in the fucking balls, man. I mean,